Hello, and welcome to the top 10 characteristics of the best group fitness and yoga teachers on the planet. We could say that the 10 characteristics we're about to cover are all qualities that can be found in the best of the best teachers, but they also describe the best of the best leaders in general in any area of life. So, with that, let's dive in. So, first is number 10 is passionate. These teachers I have crossed paths with that are the best in my mind, they just are passionate about what they do. They feel strongly about what they get to do as teachers. They're enthusiastic and they're not afraid to be emotionally connected to teaching. And it's because they see teaching not as a job or a hobby or a way to stay fit. They see teaching as a calling, a desire that was placed on their heart. And they know that it is part of their purpose, which is why they're indeed so passionate about it. And then number 9, they are kind-hearted. They teach coming from a place of wanting to make a positive impact on the lives that they touch with their teaching, on the lives of those people that they serve every time they step in the room and take them through an experience. And they're coming from a place of empathy, a place of compassion, and a place of love. They're leading with their heart, they're teaching from their heart, and doing so for the purpose of making, again, a positive difference in the lives of others. So they are kind-hearted. And then number 8, they are confident. This is a huge one, to be able to be confident in your teaching. These teachers are fully aware. They have a strong inner perception and a knowing of their ability as a teacher. And I often share this quote. I love this quote. It is, confidence is the inner voice that says you are becoming what you are capable of being. And I think we all know that in order to be able to step in front of a room, public speaking is often listed as a fear worse than death. So the fact that you have the confidence to be able to step in front of people and lead them is huge. And so it's important to stay connected to that high level of confidence in what you're capable of and your abilities as a teacher. And also, confidence is really important to be able to accomplish some of the other characteristics, especially the next two that we're going to dive into, like number 7, being present. So these teachers, these best of the best teachers I've crossed paths with, are present. Now, you might say, hey, whenever we show up to teach, of course we're present. And I would say absolutely, but I think we all know that it is possible to be present physically, to show up, but then to just go through the motions and not be all there. So the kind of present that I'm talking about here is all there, fully present, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, even spiritually, if that resonates with you. But to really be all in every time you go in and teach. And it takes confidence to do that. It takes confidence. When you've got confidence, you're able to show up and be fully present. And when you're able to be fully present, you're able to notice what's going on in the room from start to finish. And when you're able to do that, you can use that information as the teacher to then become the coach for what's happening, to be able to be flexible and provide the best possible experience for the participants in your class moment by moment. So number 7 is to be fully present. And number 6, these teachers are authentic. They are truly themselves. They are courageous enough to be themselves. They know that when they show up authentically in the fullness of who they are, it gives permission for others to do the same. Not that they need our permission, but it does give permission because you are such a role model when you are the leader in that room. When you go in and teach, you're such a role model. So when you can authentically be yourself, all of a sudden other people feel like they can be themselves too. And it does take courage to be authentic. But I love how Brené Brown describes courage. She has a couple of TED Talks I highly recommend. You can find them on YouTube, one on shame, one on vulnerability. And she talks about how vulnerability is not a weakness, as many of us have been conditioned to believe, but it is very much a strength. And that it takes courage to be vulnerable. And you do need to be vulnerable to be yourself, to be authentic. But here's the cool thing. Courage actually comes from the word cor, C-O-R, cor, and it is Latin for heart. And it originally meant to be able to speak from and with your whole heart. So how awesome is that, to be able to have the courage to be who you really are and to speak from and with your whole heart every single time you teach? I promise you, if you fully show up as yourself, you will make a bigger difference on the lives of people that you touch, because people can tell when you're being authentic. So that's a big deal. They are authentic. And then number 5, they are engaging. And all of this requires fully showing up and being present and being confident. Like, these are all intertwined, so to speak. But people that are engaging, these teachers I found that are engaging, they just have the ability to be human connectors. They enjoy building relationships with people, and they genuinely strive to make others feel good in their presence, to feel good about themselves when they are in their classes. And this engaging quality, it's also been labeled as charisma, or these teachers have been labeled as charismatic. And it's because of this ability and this desire to be engaging, people will come back to their classes for more over and over again, because they want to be in your presence. They want to feel good about themselves, and you make them feel good about themselves. You make them feel successful, ensure they're having a good time. You make it about them. You engage with them. You connect with them. And it's a huge deal how people feel when they're in our classes. And I don't just mean physically, how they feel emotionally. When we can make an emotional connection with them by engaging with them, by connecting with them beyond just telling them what to do with their body, it becomes a huge gift that we give them. There's another quote that I love to share when I'm training teachers and such, and is from Maya Angelou, one of my personal heroes. And she said that people will not remember what you said. People will not remember what you did, but people will always remember how you made them feel. So choose to be that human connector. Choose to build relationships. And this may require initially getting outside your comfort zone a bit. But hey, if you're gonna be a teacher and stand on that platform where you get to make a positive difference in their day and in their lives, build those relationships. If I'm actually naturally an introvert, which many find hard to believe, but in that Myers-Briggs personality profile, I am an introvert. It doesn't mean that I don't enjoy being around other people. I love connecting and building relationships. It just means that I actually recharge when I have time alone. And so even if you have labeled yourself or been labeled an introvert, it doesn't mean that you can't open yourself up to be engaging with others. And I promise you, it can make a huge difference in the experience that you provide. And then number 4, they are positive. They take a positive approach when they're teaching, and they're known for having what I would call an optimistic disposition. They are generally lighthearted. This also, that one didn't pop up. There we go. They're positive. They are also very drawing for people. Like, people are drawn to them because of their positivity, because of their level of optimism. People often see them as lighthearted because they just don't take things too seriously. And they can even have a sense of humor about things. And this can serve you really well as a teacher, because I think we can all agree that when it comes to teaching, there's a lot to think about. We've planned so much even prior to the class. Then we step into the room and there's lighting and there's sound system. And if you teach with a microphone, there's a microphone. There's often equipment involved and different props and things that we use. The fact is that there are things that can go wrong, and along your path, they will. But if you can have a positive attitude, then you can either make light of them or ignore them and just keep moving forward and roll with it and not let it ruffle you. I cannot tell you how many times I've been in a class experience as a student and something goes wrong. Maybe the music goes down or the teacher forgets what they're going to do next, but in some way something goes wrong and the teacher gets ruffled. And it shows. The teacher gets negative or closes off a bit or starts bringing all their attention inward because they're trying to think of what to do to fix it. But the more you can just stay positive no matter what happens and roll with the punches, as they say, if things do go wrong, the better impact you're going to make. And I've just noticed that the best of the best teachers out there are able to maintain this level of optimism, this assumption that everything's going to be okay. Or knowing actually that everything's going to be okay, because guess what? It is. Because even if something goes wrong while you're teaching, it is not the end of the world. You can pick up and keep going and still be a light in the student's day. And that is ultimately what we want to do. We want to be a light in their day, not something that drags them down, but something that lifts them up. So number 4 is positive. And now number 3, I love this one. They are inspired. And now the reason I wanted to incorporate this one is because there is a huge difference between being motivated and being inspired. And I have definitely crossed paths with teachers who are motivated to teach. But motivated insinuates that there's an external influence. So I have known teachers that are motivated either by the money they get paid to teach. They're motivated by the fact that they get a free membership when they teach. They're motivated by the applause or the good feedback that they get at the end of class, things like that. They're motivated by things outside of themselves. Inspired is very different because it insinuates that there's something bubbling up from the inside that is driving you. And inspired, the actual word, is drawn from in spirit. And when you are inspired, you're one with your spirit is the way it's defined. And it means that you are being inspired to do it from the inside out because it is something that is fulfilling for you. So the desire to be able to lift others up, the desire to be able to make a positive impact on other people, those are examples of inspiration. I am inspired to do it from the inside out, not from the outside in. And whenever you're inspired to do something, it actually has a different impact on you as well. Because when we're motivated from any kind of external influence, so it's motivation. To motivate is to impel someone to do something, to convince them to do something. And if we're motivated, that can keep us going for quite some time. And there's nothing wrong with motivating either. Motivation is a lot of what we can provide as teachers for others. It can be a very positive thing to do. It can be a very positive path. So I don't want to take away from motivation. But if you look at your calling as a teacher and rely on external influences to keep you driven to teach, to keep you wanting to teach, either A, those external influences could be unreliable and they could go away at some point, and B, there's a greater chance that at some point you're going to get burnt out, that you will hit a wall. But when you are inspired to teach, inspired action is something that as you do it, it fills you up. But if you look at it as work takes away, work empties you as opposed to filling you up. So I just encourage you to get in touch with what on the inside inspires you to teach and let that be part of what just drives you and what gets you out of bed every morning and takes you into the class to teach. Because at the end of the day, you get a choice. You either get to say, I have to teach today, or you can say, I get to teach today. And those that are inspired to do it always feel like it's an honor, like it's a gift for them. Like, I get to go teach today. That's something to be really excited about, because you don't have to teach. So always remember that. You don't have to teach. You get to teach. So if you're ever feeling a little frustrated or frazzled, maybe it's been a rough day, we've all been there, and you're jumping through hoops to get things done so that you can get to your class or what have you, and things go down, maybe a flat tire or a crying child or on and on. Just take a pause, take a couple of deep breaths, and remind yourself, I get to do this. And then remind yourself what inspires you to do this. For me, I am inspired to make a positive difference in the lives of others. And when I close my eyes, take a deep breath, and remember that, and that I get to go do this, it changes everything for me as the teacher. And then when it changes for you as a teacher, it changes the experience you're able to provide for your students as well. So being inspired to do this is huge. And now number 2 is growth focused. These amazing teachers I've been able to cross paths with have always been growth focused, which means they never rest on, okay, I'm certified, now I'm done. Or, okay, I've done all the training I need to do. I'm a good teacher. I have a great following. I don't need to grow anymore. No, the best teachers are always a student first. Because when you can be a student first and you're always growing, then you're always going to have more. If you're always growing and evolving, you're always going to have more to offer your students. So these teachers are not only foundationally trained and or certified, but they feed that. And it's not only because they need their continuing education credits or hours to be able to maintain their certification to keep their job. They do it because they're inspired. There's that inspired word again. They're inspired to continue to grow and get better at what they do and to continue to evolve as teachers. So it's really important that you're always on the lookout. You're open for opportunities that will provide learning and growth and an opportunity to continue to go deeper as a teacher. And I promise you that will not only serve you and continue to help you stay engaged with what you get to do, but it will absolutely serve your students as well. And then the other note on this is that these teachers who are growth focused are always remembering to evaluate and evolve. And this can be looked at in two ways when you think of your role as a teacher. Number one, after every class you take, to just take no more than a couple of minutes to say, how'd that go for me? There are things maybe that went well, things that didn't go as well. If something went well, I want to take note of that so that I can potentially replicate it in the future. If something didn't go so well, I want to maybe see if there's a way to avoid it from happening again. Opportunities for growth are within every class that we teach. To be able to evaluate and evolve along the way is huge. And instead of just jumping to the next thing so quickly, take those few moments to see how it went for you. And then the other way to look at it is just through your career. So whether you've been teaching for a day or a year or a decade or several decades, to often evaluate and evolve throughout your career, I think is huge as well. It's so incredibly important to, I personally do it every 3 to 6 months. It seems to work for me. For some, they do it on an annual basis. For some, they do it even more often than I do. But to, on a regular basis, take a step back and look at your career as a teacher, your calling as a teacher, and ask, how's it going? Am I feeling fulfilled? Are there other things I want to do? Are there other genres I want to learn to teach, other formats I want to learn to teach? What have I done in the last 6 months for my growth and evolution and my learning and my expansion as a teacher? Do I need to look for workshops or intensives or conferences that I can attend? Again, not just to earn my continuing education credits, but to actually learn and to get better as a teacher. How can I continue to evolve as a teacher? To evaluate yourself in that way don't go too regular with it. This isn't a weekly exercise. You'll drive yourself crazy. At least once a year to be able to sit down and say, how's it going for me? And do I want to do anything differently? Do I want to expand in a new direction? And that way you'll always continue to keep yourself open for opportunities for growth. And it's just so huge. I'll say it again. I said it before. It will serve you well. And I promise you, it will serve your students well also. And the number one, this is so huge. It is self-aware. These teachers whose paths I've crossed with, they just have an inner knowing of who they are. And really, in order to do any of the others, in order to have confidence, in order to be present, in order to be authentic, you have to know who you are. Not only as a teacher, but as a person. And often I call it the inward journey. These teachers have taken some form of inward journey. And it's because they've taken this inward journey, they've gotten to know who they are. They are more self-aware. They're aware of what inspires them. So if you don't know what inspires you to teach, then it's time to take a little bit of time to yourself and go to a quiet place, close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, maybe have a pen and paper with you, and be ready to jot down what comes to you as you ask the question, why do I do this? What is my why? Those teachers who are self-aware, they know their why, and they're able to tap into it whenever they're feeling down or lacking inspiration or the enthusiasm to go in and teach, so that they can build it back up before they step in front of other human beings who are now going to be impacted by their energy. I used to have a sign when I was managing a team above the office where they would come get their microphone and get everything geared up and drop their things off before they would go into the studio to teach. And it said, "Attitudes are contagious. Is yours worth catching?" And when you can stay connected to who you really are and why you do what you do, and you're aware of what drives you and what motivates you for sure to do this, to step in that role of a teacher, then the energy that you bring into the room will be a positive one. And I can promise you that your energy is so incredibly contagious. So it's important, I think, that when we prepare to step into a room with a group of people as the leader, that the energy is a positive one. So when it comes to being self-aware, it also means that they are so aware of themselves and connected to who they really are that they're grounded and they're at peace from within. This also helps when you're going through a career that has ups and downs and different experiences when you teach where things can go wrong. When you're grounded and at peace from within because you have this self-awareness, then you can move through that contrast with a sense of ease. And I can assure you, in my 25 years, I've experienced my share of contrast and then some. But I've found a way to be able to move through it with ease because I've really stayed connected to who I am and all of the rest of these 10 that I continue to strive to be able to stay connected to. And because these teachers have this level of self-awareness, they are grounded, they are at peace from within, they also know how important it is to prioritize self-care. And this is what I want to end this top 10 on, the importance of self-care. These teachers ensure that they are healthy from the inside out because they know this is going to be the best way to be able to serve as a role model for others. If you are not putting yourself first and you're a role model to others, you can't even really in good conscience tell them to put themselves first because you're not doing it. And so I know that you do this because you want to serve others. And often because we want to be of service, we often put others before us. I get it. I have spent my life doing it, and this has been a huge lesson for me that I continue to challenge myself to get better and better at every day. Remember this. If you want to be a positive advocate in the lives of others, which if you're a teacher in this space, I know you do. If you want to be a positive advocate in the lives of others, you must first be a positive advocate for yourself. And remember that if you fill your cup first, do the things that are going to fill you up. Do the things that make you feel good. Maybe it's a walk, maybe it's getting a massage or a pedicure, it's time with your child or with family, it's watching the sunset. It can be so many different things for so many different people. But if you take the time to fill your cup, let your cup overflow, then you give from the overflowing energy as opposed to tapping yourself dry because you're constantly in a mindset of what can I do for others? 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 Take care of yourself first, and I promise you, you will have that much more to give to those that you want to serve. Okay, there's a reason that when you get on an airplane, they tell you that if the oxygen masks drop, you need to put yours on first, because if you don't, you're not going to be there to get the oxygen mask on others. So it translates to our day-to-day life. Please create that self-awareness. Take time to yourself on a regular basis, if not daily. Stay connected to who you really are. Have that grounding, that peace from within. And from that, know how important it is to prioritize you, your self-care, so that you can now be the best possible role model for those who you serve when you teach. So that is the top 10 list. And feel free to go back and run through it again, revisit it anytime you'd like. But now is the time to self-assess. And you could, maybe you've taken notes along the way. You're certainly welcome to take any of this and use it in whatever way it would serve you or others. I'm a believer that knowledge is meant to be shared, not owned. But I encourage you to, whether you have gone through this and have just taken notes on where you stand within yourself, or maybe you make your own list and some of these are on your list, it's just important to ask yourself, how am I doing? And to make it easy, if this list happens to resonate with you, you will see a link close to this video where you can download a PDF. I created an assessment for you. It's just an easy 1 to 5 scale of how you think you're doing in each of these areas. And it can just help you. It can help you understand which of the 10 you're feeling really good about, and the fact that you feel like you're delivering on that for yourself and for those that you teach. And then other areas that you have opportunity for growth, where you think you could focus a bit of energy and see some improvement where you can now get more out of your teaching, and so can others as they experience it. My goal for you is that after every single time you teach, you feel like this. I did it. It felt so good. It felt good to be able to make a positive impact on the lives of those people in the room. And you don't just make a positive impact on their 1 hour experience, you make a positive impact on their day, and then it translates into their lives. Make the most of this platform you get to stand on as a teacher, and I will support you along the way. So with that, I just want to thank you for taking the time to go through this video. I hope we continue to stay connected. Let me know how I can support you on your journey, because we are all in this together, my friend. And together we are stronger, but together and aligned with what we're doing and why we're doing it, we are limitless. So let's go make a difference together, okay? Take care and much love. Mwah.